In this video, we're going to talk about how to solve trinomial equations. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to both factor and solve trinomials. Solving an equation by factoring. When we're only doing this with quadratic trinomials, remember that we're going to use the zero product property. So we're going to set our entire quadratic equation equal to 0. We're going to factor it. And then remember we set each of the factors equal to 0 and solve. So we'll have two answers, seeing as we'll have two factors. So remember the steps for solving would be to rewrite the equation so that one side equals 0, factor the trinomial, set each of your factors equal to 0. Again, you're usually going to have two solutions, and then check both solutions by substituting it into the original equation. So let's look at the first example. We have x squared plus 9 equals negative 10x, and we want to solve this equation. When I solve it, remember that the first thing I'm going to have to do is rewrite it. So I'm going to have to rewrite it so that by adding 10x on both sides, that's going to give me x squared plus 10x plus 9 equals to 0. Then we factor. So remember when we're factoring trinomials, we can use product sum. So the product of 9, the sum of 10, so two numbers that multiply to give us 9, add to give us 10, that would be 1 and 9. Again, if we use the box from this part, x squared goes in the top box, 9 would go in the bottom, and then we put 1x and 9x, and then we figure out what our two factors would be. So x times x gives me x squared, x times 1 gives me 1x, x times 9 gives me 9x. So I know that my two factors are going to be x plus 1 and x plus 9. So now that I have the two factors of x plus 1 and x plus 9, I know that I can now rewrite it so that it's x plus 9, x plus 1 is equal to 0. We set each of the factors equal to 0 at this point. So it's going to be x plus 9 equals 0, x plus 1 equals 0. I solve each of these equations. Subtract 9 from the first one, that'll give me x is equal to negative 9. Subtract 1 from this one, that'll give me x is equal to negative 1. So my solution would be negative 9 and negative 1. Remember when we're writing our solution, we write it in set notation that's in braces. Now, we want to check it to make sure that both of our answers are correct. So if I plug it back into the original equation, substitute both of them back in, my first one, I plug in 9 for x squared, so that's negative 9 squared plus 9 is equal to negative 10 times negative 9. Well, negative 10 times negative 9, that's positive 90. We've got negative 9 squared, which would be positive 81, plus 9 equals 90. So this one is correct. Do the same thing with negative 1. Negative 10 times negative 1 is positive 10. Negative 1 squared is 1. Plus 9 equals 10, so we know that is correct. So we know our solution in this first problem is negative 9 and negative 1. Let's look at another example. So we have x squared minus x minus 5 equals 75 plus x. We're going to solve this. Remember that you need to get everything on the same side first. We're going to have to subtract 75 and the x on both sides. So subtract 75 from 5, subtract x from negative x. What I'm going to end up with is x squared minus 2x minus 80 is equal to 0. Again, we're looking at product sum. So two numbers that multiply to give me negative 80, but also add to give me negative 2. So again, this one you might need to list out the factors of 80. So we have 8, 1 and 80. But then if you're looking, you're like, okay, I see it, which would be negative 8 and 10, or 10, or negative 10 and 8. Which one's going to combine to give you negative 2? That would be negative 10 and 8. So we see there are two factors that multiply to give me negative 80 and add to give me -2 are -10 and 8. Again, if you need to, list out all those factors of 80. And then if we put it in the box, where in the top box goes the first term and the bottom box goes my C term, and then we have -10x in one box, positive 8x in the other box, and then we go through our process. X times x gives me x squared. X times 8 will give me 8x. X times -10 will give me -10x. And so our two factors are x plus 8 and x minus 10, and we set them equal to 0. So we set each of them equal to 0, so we'll have x plus 8 equals to 0, x minus 10 equals to 0. If I add on this first equation, I need to subtract 8, so x is equal to -8. This next one will have 10, or add 10, so x is equal to 10. And our solution would be -8 and 10. Now don't forget to go back and check your equation. You want to plug it back into the original one. So again, we'll take -8, we'll plug it back into the original equation. So it's -8 squared minus -8 minus 5 equals 75 minus 8. Okay, so -8 squared, that's positive 64, minus -8, which is plus 8, minus 5. That would be 72 minus 5, which would give us 67. If we do 75 minus 8, that would also give us 67. So we know that the first one's correct. Again, if we do the same thing with 10, that's 10 squared minus 10 minus 5 equals 75 plus 10. So on this side we've got 85. 10 squared is 100. Minus 10 minus 5 gives us 85. So we know that 10 is also correct. So our solution for this one would be -8 and 10. Again, we want to solve the equation, so we make sure that we get everything on the same side. So we're going to have x squared plus 8x minus 16 equals to 0. When we factor this one, again, two numbers that multiply to give us -16, add to give us positive 8. That would be so again, positive 16 because we added the 16. That would be -4 and -4. So if I'm looking at my factors, I know that my factors would need to be x minus 4 times x minus 4. There's a little bit of a shortcut there. Okay? Now, when I'm solving these, alright, I'm solving ones like this. If the factors are the same, I don't need to do both of them equal to 0 because I'm going to get the same answer either way. So we'll do x minus 4 equals to 0 because they're both the same. Add the 4 on both sides. And here we get x is equal to 4. Alright, this is how we factor, this is how we solve trinomial equations.